So we do have the players getting into the lobby finally for this first matchup. I believe everyone is just loading into that pregame. So we'll switch over, let you guys hear a little bit of the players that are on each roster and enjoy some of the action that happens in the pregame lobby before we get underway with the first game of this matchup between these two teams. But this is going to be a good one, the first one of the stream between the number 2 seed and the number 7 seed. One thing we do have to note about the number 7 seed, though, they did still manage to qualify for these finals after only having playing half of the points cups. So they're probably going to be pretty decent, the underdogs, I'd say, for this this entire bracket, I'd say.
That is impressive. That definitely is impressive if you only play half your matches. But honestly, their competition, I want to say it's pretty stiff. You know, I've got a little bit of history with one of the players on SOLID4, Dids. Formerly an Overwatch pro, played in contenders with Young and Beautiful.
Nice.
I believe that was season 2, but now he's making the swap on over. Or just, you know, like a lot of gamers, they just play multiple games and can compete in it. But this should be a very formidable team right now. Looking at the flight path, it is going to be a north to south flight path, and it's just straight down the center of the map. So I'm going to be interested to see where these teams actually drop.
Yeah, if they decide to just hot drop it straight out the gate, maybe get as many kills as they can at the beginning. But we were mentioning as well before, there's a little bit of a difference between the way public lobbies are played in the Europe region and North America. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, right now we've got Kami. They did tag for a drop over by Rivertown, but they called an audible, and now they're going over to Kami's going over to, looks like maybe Array, maybe just south of Array, while they've split up. So Dids is going over to Rivertown himself. Can't tell what Mark Horner and Don are doing, but they're on the outskirts on the north side of the map. So this is very interesting. So it is two completely different styles where it's just a absolute split coming out from SOLID4, while Mark Horner and Don X, they're just going to try and stick together for the most part, but play the outer range of the map.
Yeah, I think that's a solid strategy. You know, get it as looted up as possible. Avoid those early fights so you don't go down and have to just watch your competitors the entire first game. And that way you can just rack up as many kills as you want once you're all kitted up and don't have too much random factor to worry about, I'd say.
Yeah, not the best loot so far coming out for our 7C team in digbickplayers. Yeah, I got the first one out of the way.
It's gonna be a mouthful. It's gonna be a mouthful.
Yeah, but yeah, it looks like Mark Horner's already got himself a Mogs and a concussion grenade, so he's setting himself up pretty well along with an ICR. So he's gonna want to improve upon his AR at that point, but. Both players for the digbick players, they've got a Mog in hand at least. So the close range battles are going to be fairly easy for them. Right now, looking back over at SOLID4, they are maintaining with that split. It looks like Dids, I can't quite tell where he is. Okay, yeah, he's just north of Array so far, and it looks like they're going to go ahead and converge. Yeah, there's a ring of houses just north of Array. So yeah.
The solid meeting point as well. As we see, like, we haven't seen any action out of any of these players yet either. There might be some shots actually coming out on the side of Dawn as we're switching over to him. He did get an elimination on 1, so that's 1 on the board already for his team, the digbick players. Made sure to pronounce that correctly as well. But those two team members are actually staying close to each other, so there's a little bit of a different strategy between these two teams.
Yeah, and I understand why the digbick players actually chose this drop, and you can see already they found a second player as it looks like Mark Horner spots one out and he calls it, and yeah, Don is coming in for the rotate. They're going to be able to take this 2v1 against players as Shields goes down, and that should be the second elimination for them. That puts them 2 points up against SOLID4, who haven't run into an opponent quite yet, but because a lot of these players in the EU public lobbies, they do like to play the outside. So they're going to be able to run into a lot of these players that are looking just to, you know, get equipped and then run into the zone. And they catch a lot of these players unawares. The big problem here is that they are rather far from the zone right now, and they have a big run ahead of them. But they should be able to find a vehicle. There's going to be plenty of ATVs and maybe trucks in this area.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult to find one, and even if they don't, the first time it closes in, it doesn't do as much damage as it does later on, and they look to have pretty good amount of heals on them, so they should be fine after that, as long as they don't get into any heavy firefights on the way into the zone. But yeah, still waiting on the first team, which is the SOLID4 guys, the number 2 seed, to get any eliminations, like just switching back and forth between those guys. None on the board for either Dids or Cammy. And, you know, we're just hoping at some point, though, maybe run into someone. They do have all they need kit-wise to get those eliminations. It's just, you know, finding someone at this point.
Yeah, they just found someone. Both of them are trying to utilize trucks here to use as cover as they make their approach onto them. But right now, they're taking the high ground over here at Array. It looks like they spotted one. I don't see the partners for them, but yeah, they're going to spot out one. Starts the spray down, tags a lot, and there's actually someone super close to him. There we go. 2 kills already coming on in. They do still have to get the thirst before they can actually secure those kills, but it looks like they will be able to get it. And I like what they're doing. So they're both utilizing the trucks. They've got a trophy system in there, so it leaves them actually pretty almost invulnerable to a lot of just surprise plays coming out from teams.
Yeah, we are seeing some good shots being put on as well by the SOLID4 guys. I think they did face a full squad in that engagement, but they were able to.
There it is.
All of them getting eliminated at once after they finally got that final down. Just instant. I love seeing that as well. You know, you don't have to take them all out at once. You just need to take them one by one, maybe bait out some other players to try and revive their teammates, and then you can eliminate them from there as well.
Yeah, if we look over at digbickplayers right now, Dawn spotting someone trying to get into a boat here, and we'll be able to get the kill because he was in the water. You got to be careful there. Now, he's going to push with the Mog and gets another down. So already these teams finding lots of points so far. But it looks like digbickplayers might be able to get 2 more on the board here. There we go. It looks like it was just a team of 3, possibly 2 kills for Dawn, and none quite for Mark. Maybe we're a little bit behind.
Yeah, we might be a bit behind. All these players are actually streaming at a 2-minute delay, so some of them might be a little bit off too because they started their streams at different times. But we will see some more eliminations as we get further on into this game too. We are seeing something from Mark on screen as he did get some shots, but he is taking some damage as well.
Yeah, that one's kind of like the instant replay.
Ooh, there we go.
What's happening on Dawn's, yeah.
Yeah, so it seems that Mark's a little bit behind on what's going on with Dawn. So we'll probably try and stick to Dawn just to keep you guys as up to date on the action as possible between these guys. But you'll always be able to check out their individual streams as well to see what is happening from their specific perspectives.
Yeah, so for the most part, it looks like it's fairly close. I think it's 5-4 right now, as Dids was able to run over one of his opponents. So it's going to be a 5-4 advantage for SOLID4 here. And now they're just trying to make their way into zone. I mean, this is still the first circle, so they're not taking too much damage. And this is what I was talking about, that a lot of teams do like in EU, for whatever reason, like to really play the storm and ride it in. And so that's why SOLID4 are taking their time making their way in. And it looks like, yeah, Kami has spotted someone out over here by Grandma's house.
He's just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. You know, the good thing about having those trucks is that they're so loud. So if you're trying to bait people out to try and put some shots on you, he does notice that there's 2 players that are on the ATV. He's going to try and take some shots at them. But it looks like they just drove on by. They might not want to engage completely.
I mean,
maybe went to the ditch, actually. He's trying to get a good eye on them, but doesn't seem like he has anything. Maybe his teammate does, but doesn't look like they do. Oh, he ran over one of them. They are at the tree over there as well, going closer instead. Maybe gonna run over that one too.
Oh my gosh.
Did they get it? It looked like, there we go. He got it. He got it.
There's still another team though right outside, and so now this is where you're in a little bit of trouble here. He's gonna have to reconvene with Dids, who is gonna be the driver. Not gonna drop in, into shotgun, but there it is. A lot of these players, again, like I had mentioned, do like to ride the storm, do end up trying to gatekeep. And at this point, Kami does go down, but Dids is going to be here to try and cover him, but the thirst will come in. So now it's going to be a 2v1, but still, I have a lot of faith in Dids as he's going to be able to get this thirst and put another point on the board for them.
Yeah, just putting on as much damage as he can to them. Backing up while he can to heal as well, just so he's in a good position. More shots. Oh, no. Seemed like he got taken out as well, so that is all she wrote for their team. We can take a look at how many kills they got. So Dit's got 5, Kami got 3, so that's 8 total for their team for the first one, and there's 2 and 2 for the other guys. So Don and Mark are still up, have plenty of time to rack up as many kills as they want, because that's what happens in these games too. As soon as one team goes down, you can just take your time. You don't have to stress as much as you did at the beginning.
Yeah, and you know, they tried to really punish a lot of the players that were going to be rotating and slow moving in from the circle, but it was ultimately them that got punished there. You know, they made a lot of noise coming on in, like you had mentioned. Those trucks, they're super loud, and especially if you're driving
not very
them,
stealthy,
right? But hey, they hit him like a truck. I think they were able to get 2 kills.
Yeah,
with,
it looked like they got
alone.
2.
Yeah. And so it did pay off for them. And again, this is 3 rounds that you're going to be playing through, or 3 matches that you're going to be playing through. So there's still plenty of players alive in this server for digbickplayers to try and close the lead, but they are down by 4 currently. They should be running into a lot of people. With the way that the circle ended up on this map, it brought a lot of people down to the southeast quadrant here, and that path just kind of funnels a lot of people in the way that worked. So they should be running into a lot of people. We'll see how big, or if they're able to wrestle away the lead from SOLID4.
Yeah, as long as they don't have one of their members get taken down, they still have that 2-man advantage. It's so much more difficult when it's a 1-man army against an entire squad. And there's still plenty of squads still left. We are seeing some kills in the feed right now, so there's some action going on somewhere. We do see that Don did spot someone out on the bridge, but couldn't really get the shots he needed to take him down. Maybe that was just someone scouting. Could have just been a solo player who was left. Oh, no, he does see a duo crossing by the way, so he might just alert his teammate to that, see if there's a better way they can get a vantage point and take those guys down to get in the lead for this first game of the best of... It's not really a best 3, it's just 3 games that they're playing.
Yeah, Mark was able to find one out, and they're going to take their time again. No problem whatsoever. Just playing in the storm here. Don gets a knock, and he will get the instant thirst here. There's still another squad to finish off, and so this just might be it, where they very nearly close the lead, I believe, between the 2 teams. Again, the delay makes it a little bit difficult to see what the scoreboard is quite... currently, I see 3 on Don, and he goes down.
Taken out. Well, we got to switch over to Mark. It might be a bit delayed, but we'll see what happens from his perspective. We finally see him take out that entire squad almost by himself as well. So pretty solid plays all around for him and his team. But some good shots that he was putting on before his teammate did get taken down. And
behind the tree.
They do notice, well, maybe we should switch on over to Don, just because that is the most up-to-date perspective on what Mark is doing. We won't really see his stream per se, but we will see what is happening as the action unfolds.
Yeah, and it looks like it's a very close match now after this first round so far. And again, remember, Mark is still alive, so he is going to be the difference maker here. So he's the only person remaining from our first match so far. He spots one out. Oh, that's a great tag. Now he's trying to get the thirst, and he will secure that point. Every single one will now start granting them a lead here up against the number 2 seed in SOLID4.
And as we mentioned before, I always like to bring back these points just a few times to jog people's memories. These players on digbickplayers, they only played half of the cup point games or matches or tournaments, whatever you want to call it. They still managed to qualify after that. So even though they are the 7th seed out of 8 teams in this finals, they're nothing to scoff at. They're probably going to be one of the top teams moving through this bracket. And you can see that here with the play we're seeing by Mark as well on Don's stream, if you guys are a little bit confused by the naming scheme we have currently.
Yeah. Just a reminder, yeah, Mark doesn't have the delay quite set up perfectly, but you know, we're not going to fault him for that. But yeah, this circle continues to go into the northeast quadrant or northeast corner of the map now, and again, it's going to funnel people in that direction. A lot of these rotates, you're going to be running into people, so now he has to be careful as he runs through Turbine here because there are so many buildings that anyone can be camping in. So he is being diligent and making sure he's checking his corners, and you know, he is not going to get caught unawares.
Oh yeah, there's so many buildings people can camp in as well for this one, as you were mentioning. But you know, there are some perks if they do have them still available to try and detect those people that are camping with like the trophy systems or some tripwire mines. You can use that engineer so useful sometimes to just know the location of people who might have booby trapped a specific house, so that you know either to avoid that if there's no one in there, or to actually like push through and take them down as well.
Yeah, in the public lobbies, there are a lot of passive players, people who will like just barricade up in a building with a trophy system along with a sensor dart. So yeah, instead of having a sensor dart on you, an engineer can actually serve that same purpose. Like you had mentioned, you just spot out trip mines and stuff like that, and you'll be able to spot people out. But I like what he's doing right now. Mark is going for the high ground here on the eastern side of the map because he doesn't want to just push through this terrain where really there's only small rocks for you to try
Oh
and
yeah.
get cover if you get spotted out.
Especially if you're wide out in the open and there's like two teams pinching you from either side. That's just the worst situation. But he does find someone right beside him, pulls out the Mog, throws a concussion, trying to take them out, but he's getting flanked from the other end. He's getting melee, does take one, but finally gets eliminated by the other player. Valiant effort by him, but that is game number 1. That will be over, and I'd say that's a pretty solid game that we saw between these teams. We will see exactly how many eliminations that each of them got in that first game once they leave the match and see the point totals that they got.
I believe he actually even got that kill too, because the zone was coming in. Might have just bled out really quickly. I want to see final confirmation on that. We will see the scoreboard in just a moment from Dawn. But yeah, they should definitely have the lead at this point, and it was super close. But again, Kami and Dids on, let's see, we got 7 and 3, so 10-8 is the scoreline so
solid.
far.
Pretty solid.
Really solid.
And that's just the first game of this as well. So seeing that action, we saw the difference between the two teams as the SOLID4 team, they split apart. Didn't work out quite well for them because they didn't get any really early on kills. Instead, they just found themselves, got some good loot, but then it got taken out later with those vehicles. And then with the digbickplayers, we saw them survive because they were stuck to each other. They knew that they would have more firepower when facing full-on squads, and it worked out for them.
Well, also, you know, one team was peacocking, the other was playing a little bit more, I would say, silently, a bit more innocuously, right? They weren't running around in trucks, drawing all the attention towards them. They were on foot, making their way into the zone, while SOLID4, they were driving on 2 trucks and just calling a lot of attention to themselves. So that ended up punishing them, even though, you know, the goal of that is to try and draw as many people to you, because honestly, from what I've noticed playing in the European servers is that if there's a firefight, you're going to draw every single player within that region to you.
So many players. It's crazy, especially when there's not many firefights going on. So as soon as someone hears gunshots going off, it's like, oh, we got to get in on that. We can third party it. Third partying is such a huge thing, not just in Blackout, but in all the other battle royales as well. So it's crazy to see the different interactions these players have to have, and they have to know, okay, how long am I in this firefight with this one team? Is there another team that's going to be coming up behind us, going to come up on the other team? You got to be prepared for all those situations, and it's crazy to see the way these players adapt to that as well.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, I kind of do like what digbickplayers did. So with their drop, they landed on the eastern side of the map. And with the rotation coming in because of how the zone worked, their funnel for a lot of the players in that lobby, they only had to deal with a funnel coming in from one direction, which was moving north to south. What we saw from SOLID4 was that they were coming in from a horizontal angle to try and get into the zone. And so that left them, you know, vulnerable from the east, from the west, from the north, and also from people on the safety of the zone. So they are taking a lot more risks coming out from SOLID4, which it would have paid off. It would have paid off if they had survived.
Yeah, if they have to decide. That's always the kicker with a lot of these.
Yeah.
Is like, all these cool plays would have worked out if you survived later on and then could tell all the stories about it. But we are getting into the next pregame lobby for this second game. 3 games total for these upper bracket ones, 2 games total for the lower bracket ones. We are going to start with the guys on digbickplayers and see how they do this time. Oh, digbickplayers, sorry. They are making those digbickplays, though, as we saw happen in the last one, getting those 10 kills compared to the 8 from the other team. It was very close, though, towards the end. If I think it was Mark didn't get those last 2 kills on those players after his teammate got eliminated, it would have been even split between these 2 teams when it comes to those point totals.
Yeah, and honestly, I do like this format that we do go for 3 games total in the upper bracket because you get to adjust your playstyle over time, right? And dependent upon your lead, we'll see if, SOLID4 try to go for something that would get, again, very aggressive, going for middle of the map, or if they play a bit more conservatively like we see digbickplayers do in that last one. But this flight path doesn't really suit it. We do have digbickplayers. It looks like they might be going for array. They could also, call an audible and try to go for firing range, which looks like possibly they might do. Dids and Kami on SOLID4 are going to go for the same drop they did in the first game, where they go south of array to these houses, to this cul-de-sac, and there might be someone right next to Dids. I saw a parachute.
Switch on over and see if we can find anyone.
Yeah, he throws out a sensor dart, and there was one person on the map with him.
We do see Kami have someone drop right next to him as well, so he's going to be pursuing that one too to see if he can take him out. We did see on the other stream, though, Don just took someone out as well, so already getting one on the board right at the beginning. Kami hasn't really found the other. Oh, he finally gets him down, takes the elimination. Make sure that, he finishes them off, because even if you get taken out early, as long as you are able to finish those, get the cleanups basically on the people you down, that's most important, because the other teammates in that squad could just revive them instead.
Yeah, right now, it looks like, digbickplayers, they're going to go for a bit more of an aggressive drop. They went for a drop over by the white barn, just south of firing range, and so they've already spotted out one. That means there should be 3 other players around them in this general area, but it's going to be very difficult, right? Playing firing range here, you leave yourself susceptible because it's pretty much a big bowl, and a lot of players can rotate in from any single angle, from the north, from the southwest, and the east. They have to be careful, as now they are pushing into the paintball, so every single corner is
so many people. Yeah, they have the high ground on this encounter, though, so got some good shots in and a down as well, and it looked like Mark also got some good shots in there too, but they're trying to flank him with good Molotov, maybe to cut off one of the angles that they can take to escape. Switch on over to Mark to see the angle he has. I believe he did fix his perspective. Don is taking some fire, though, trying to heal up after exchanging blows with them. Mark, again, just trying to put in some shots and support his teammate as well from another angle. Takes out the Mog, puts a few shots on again. Can't get the finish. Finally taking that player down. Instant death. So they did eliminate one of the squads that were still remaining in firing range.
Yeah, now they're just going to continue to grow this lead on the other side. SOLID4 was able to spot out one more player, looks like, from that squad initially. And so they're trying to keep this as close as possible, and now they are going to be pushed by the remaining 2 members of that last team. Kami going to back away, play this a little bit more conservatively, not going to get too aggressive here as he just backs away with that ATV. He's going to change up his angle here because he knows there's 2 people on this hill in front of him, and he's got the Paladin. So this is going to be great for him. Don with another elimination on the other side, and so this is going to be action-packed.
Yeah, some shots coming out from Dids as well, getting a better angle on the opponents that they're facing in this engagement. Some good shots, but didn't really get any downs that he needed. We did see Kami actually in the feed take one down. Another one he finally gets as well. Heals up again. There might be a few more players about to converge on their spot, but for now they are a little safe. They are going to finish off that one player and make sure they get as many on the board as well. But we are seeing some good work being put in by SOLID4 compared to their first game performance as well.
Yeah, they do have to be a little bit cautious here, though, because Kami, he doesn't have any meds. So he's at 71 HP, he's got a level 2, and that is not the greatest position to be in right now. Looking over at Dids, he's got some medication, but they do have to worry more about the players that are coming in. They are coming in from the west-hand side, and they're just trying to change up their angle here. But they know that, they are behind the ball, right? They are already in a deficit so far. There we go. Kami with the VKM actually gets
and
the
Dids
knock,
pushing up on him too.
Off.
Oh no, Dids gets downed as well. It seems that Kami stream is a little bit behind, but they do manage to finally get the down on that guy, going for the revive, switching over, and they do manage to get the pickup, but they are facing fire from other players, either the same squad they were taken down before or some other third parties that are coming after them. We do see some shots already going on in firing range too. The Mog coming out for Mark, trying to put some shots on, and finally took out one of the squads that was still remaining there. They were being a nuisance the entire time while we were paying attention to the SOLID4 team, but they finally managed to take out their opponents as well. So both teams doing decent at this point as it concerns kill-wise, and also keeping themselves in this game as long as possible so they can just rack up those kills as the game progresses.
Yeah, in this round alone, it's a 9-5 lead, which I think grows the overall lead for digbickplayers to about 6 eliminations so far. So they are continuing to grow this right now. But both teams, they have stabilized, and we are starting to get into the mid game here. There's 49 players left in this lobby, and the zone has been nice to both of them so far. The thing is, though, because digbickplayers are here in firing range, it's difficult to actually get out. A lot of players start rotating in, and you find yourself in this constant struggle to try and get out. Now they're covering every single angle, and it looks like Don just drops down on someone, instantly sprays him down. That's going to be another elimination very shortly.
Yeah, looking for those other players. Made sure he could support his teammates. Some smoke does come out, so maybe they are going to go for that revive. No, he's not going to let it happen. Takes them down. Make sure that they can't get that one. They do know there's at least one member remaining of this other squad they are facing, so they're trying to see where they're hiding at, get a better angle on them as well. It's all about those angles, too. You don't want to stay in one spot for too long, because then you can just get pincered by some of the team members that you're facing off against in whatever battle you're having at the moment.
Maybe that's the point of being here at firing range, though. Ooh, on top of wood, Mark was able to just burn him down and, of course, mow him down. That's going to be another kill for them. Jeez, they are putting up so many points right now just by being here in firing range.
Yeah, we thought they did well in the first game, but now looking at the second game, they're doing even better. Taking a look at how Cammy and Dids are doing, they're just going along trying to find some other enemies to take down as well. Maybe they're going to take the old truck route again to try and bait them out, but they're just taking their time, seeing who might be coming in from the zone a bit late. As we mentioned before, there is a lot of players in EU that like to play the zone outside of it, see if there's any other people that are either camping it as well, or if there's anyone trying to come in from that zone too. So now they're looking to move even further into the zone and get a better angle on where other teams might be either hiding out at because they haven't seen anyone so far, or might be coming into their area.
Yeah, and right now on the opposite end, though, it looks like, yeah, they're finally going to be able to move out of firing range. Will the digbickplayers going back over to SOLID4, though? They have finally found another group of opponents as they make their way into this cul-de-sac here, but they have to be careful. They have a lot of angles they need to cover, so they're just trying to play gatekeepers as the zone will be closing in on them in about a minute and a half. They spotted one person out, but that other team is playing very passively. It's going to be Kami that spots one out. Takes him, gets the knock.
He's taking so much damage.
Now, spots one out with the spray down. Is able to put some good damage in, but oh no, Kami
teammate
has
gets taken down. So many members converging on this spot as well. He's just healing up, making sure he's prepared to try and take them down, maybe make the hero run to save his teammate as well. They might be pushing up on the building as quickly as possible, but he's able to get up there, just making sure there's nobody else that might be trying to get back. Yeah, trying to put down the barricade, making sure he has all he can get to revive his teammate so they don't get a similar situation to what happened in that first game.
Big issue is though that they are still in a similar position because they weren't able to, I believe, secure the thirst, secure the kills. So they're still fighting in a man deficit, huge man deficit here. If they could have secured at least one of the kills, that would alleviate a lot of this pressure. But right now they are just stuck in this house. They have to check every single angle coming in. They do have the attic, which does have a good kind of like 360 view around them. But again, one good nade could just flush them out easily.
Oh, and we are seeing some good shots being put on by Dids, but still not able to get any of the downs he needs. They're running out of meds fast as well because they're having to use so many up after just putting a few shots on the opponents they're facing currently. Some good shots past that house, but still not enough to just take anyone down. And these enemies that they're facing right now, they are so cautious. They're going back. He finally gets it down, though. Is taking more damage from another angle. They're just surrounding this house that they're stuck in. They either, like we see happen for Kami, just want to go and take a different approach to this, bait them out with the truck so that he knows the angle they're at. The good thing about the truck, oh my goodness, just runs into them. It explodes, takes one down, but they are getting that revive. Switching on over to Dids, though, he might be able to push at this moment. He has to if he wants to get his teammate up and also take down those 3 players at least that were just camping around that building as well.
Big issue, though. The zone is coming in right now. The collapse is going to collapse on them. The Mog does come out for Dids, but the time is against him as Kami will go down. He bleeds out, and that is Dids gone.
Ooh, very unfortunate series of events that happened for their team. They tried so desperately to stay in the game too, but that team, you mentioned it as well, they didn't get the finishes on all of those players, the cleanups. Every time they went for a down, they just go behind another building because the position they were in and get their teammates revived and ready for another engagement. And then that's how they just suffocated them. 2v4 in that kind of situation, very difficult to pull off a victory. But we do see Dawn have spotted some other players in the lobby out on the other end, and they might have a chance to engage on this one.
Yeah, they've been able to basically stay in this 4-square zone for the most part on the map. Now rotating over to Grandma's house here. And, you know, they are in a prime position. There's 31 players. They spot one out here in the White House. They do trade away, but he has to be able to keep Mark alive. And there we go. Good aggressive push coming out from Don, making sure his teammate does not get thirsted. They're going to put up 2 more kills. And now their lead is just expanding. They've almost doubled, I believe, the score against SOLID4.
Yeah, at this point, SOLID4 would have to put on some crazy kills in that final game if they want to take the victory in this first round. But we are seeing some pressure coming in from some players pushing into the building, but they could not get out of that bathroom. Instead, they get taken down. But again, Mark knocked down by one of the enemies that they're facing in this encounter. They do get some more shots on, trying to just throw everything they can, and they did manage to stick him, so got a great down, but no, he did take out Mark with the cluster grenade. Now there's another guy. I think he has a Bowie knife coming after him, and then he does finally get the elimination on him as well. Very crazy work being put in by this digbickplayers team, and they finally got that kill.
Yeah, that's going to be the big B energy coming out from the digbickplayers here. Yeah, that was pretty nuts. There was a duo split up, well, excuse me, there was a squad split up, right? 2 in each house, which honestly you should be moving that way. But they were able to punish and thirst the first 2 players, and as they approached the next 2 players, it got a little bit dicey there. You saw that Don, as he was trying to push into that house, he had to play fancy feet, right? He had the cluster grenade thrown at him. The first explosion doesn't hit him, and now he has to dodge everything else. And in that during that time, we saw Mark going down. But again, it's going to be Don, or at least one of the digbick players left alive here. And we saw last time that they were able to get a respectable amount of points on the board. They already have the lead, and now they're able to continue to expand it.
Yeah, I think they have something like 20 at least at this point. I could be mistaken on that as well, just looking at the individual kills for each of the players on this squad. But great work being put in, just eclipsing their totals from the first game. And as we mentioned before, with the SOLID4 team just getting eliminated so early into this game, maybe the strategy going into game number 3, they just need to take things a bit slower, make sure that they don't get cornered like they did in this game, where all 4 members of that squad just converged on their position, took them down. as many times. They went for so many revives, eventually ran out of those meds, and then that's how it ended there when their run just got eliminated by that car explosion where Cammy just went on the suicide run. Just didn't work out to take out all 3 players, but valiant effort for him.
I'm surprised that play didn't work, though. It looked like he did.
It was
make
so
connection.
close.
It looked like he made connection with the truck, but apparently it didn't count.
He took one of them down with it, but it didn't get the full elimination because I think it only knocks someone if you get hit by it, just to get rid of some great shots being put on by Don. But he has to worry a little bit for some other members that might be coming into the storm. Some great shots again, taking him out. No contest on that one as well.
And it's just showing why people favor the SWAT so much. It is one of the strongest ARs right now. He is getting tagged just a little bit, it looked like. Oh, or is it just storm damage?
Yeah, I got it.
I think it's just storm damage at this point.
Okay.
Don't hear any more shots going on.
So that's going to be 12 kills now for Don. He is on pace at this point. He could still drop a 20 bomb in this one game. And, you know, this lead continues to grow for the Dig Big players. He is slowly running out of meds, though. I didn't quite see what was in his inventory, but he's almost on the end of this roll here. But there we go. Another fresh 10. He's got a level 3. He's got plenty of meds, it looks like. And now he's coming into the final circle. He's got a sensor out, too, and doesn't spot anyone in his immediate area. But again, he should realize that a lot of players are going to be roaming in from this side, which is why he is rotating here. He's looking for those battles. He's looking for them, and he spot one out. There we go. Another kill for him. Spots out another duo. He has to back away. He's got the, I believe it's the Outlaw. Quick shots coming out. Oh, man. Don. This man is on fire.
Insane plays being he knew they'd go for the revive, so he didn't get the thirst at all. Took out the other player, but there might be some more waiting around there. Gonna throw out the smoke just to cover his advance so he can get a better angle on this one as well. But he notices that they are by the corpses of their teammates. Does put some more shots, so they're trying to toss a grenade, but you know they are not prepared for what Don has coming at them. The cluster grenade, no damage taken in that engagement.
Don, just the master of dodging away from all these cluster grenades so far. And yeah, he knows he is on fire. He's got 16 kills this game so far. That's more than both teams combined in our first lobby, I believe.
Yep.
So
well, almost. I think they got 10 at the beginning, and then SOLID4 got 8. So if he gets 2 more, then he'll have the same amount of kills as both teams did in that first game. I think his teammate as well, Mark, had around like 6 kills as well. So crazy points being put up by this Dig Big Players team, and this is only the first round of this tournament as well. Crazy to see the way they are performing.
Yeah, it's the first round, and it's the second map of this 3-map set. And so now they are just creating a massive lead at SOLID4. It might be almost insurmountable coming into the next one. Oh, great spider senses coming out from Don here. It goes for the instant thirst. No, that's not even a thirst. That was the second player. They've got another teammate around. That's just more fodder for Don at this point.
Yeah, 17, about to be 18. There we go. Finally got the total kills that were earned by both teams, the entire squad in that first game. And there's still plenty of players remaining.
Their trophy system.
You know, he might need that for later. Get towards the end game. He wants to go for that just victory at the end. Just to finesse on the opponents, perform as well as he can. That's what I love about these duo squad tournaments as well, because you see the 2 teams face off, and then all these people that are really good at pub stomping compete in these. So you see some crazy plays being pulled out.
These are some crazy plays right now. He's on the low ground. He does have to be careful, right? I mean, at this point, yeah, sure, you're feeling really confident, but there's still 8 other players in the lobby, and you want to, you know, get as many points as possible. So you do have to rein it in just a little bit. I want to see him I want him to go back to those bodies and see if there was possibly, you know, grapplers or anything, because you do need mobility later on getting into these next few fights. He does have smoke for cover, like we saw him utilize earlier, but it looks like there is a team fighting off in the distance.
Yeah, he's just trying to approach, not make too much noise as he's getting into that area. Doesn't want to give away his position before he gets in a good spot to take a shot at them. Might see someone at this compound here, so he's flanking around the other side just to get a better view of who might be camping around there too. If he notices any vehicles as well, that's always a telltale sign of some team in the later stages if they might be at a compound. If you see like an ATV around, or maybe even a truck if anyone's that gutsy as well, but he doesn't notice anything quite yet, so gonna back off of that compound, go to a different one and see if he can spot anyone coming in from the zone. But he's looking pretty good. He's at the edge of it currently. Just has to wait for anyone to come into his clutches, and he'll try and take them down like he did for the other members of the lobby as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his level 3. He doesn't have a trauma kit, but that's fine because his aim has been able to win out a lot of these duels against other level 3s so far. But you have to imagine at this point, a lot of the players that do survive into these late games, especially in a lot of the European lobbies, are going to have level 3s. And so at that point, you're going to have, a team with concussions ready like to be drawn at you.
I don't know if have a trauma kit in waiting as well, too.
Yeah, right now, I think he only had a consumer popped. He needs some perks. He spots out a team fighting. They do take out one. So there's now 7 players remaining for him to try and take out.
Just getting a different angle. He noticed that the zone is converging on the area where all those players were, so now he's just trying to cover all his bases before he advances so he doesn't get taken out from behind. This is a solid strategy just to sweep the edges of the circle. He does notice that there was some equipment in the area. Tried to bait out one, puts down the barricade, goes around the side, puts some shots on, but they also mount over top the fence, getting some more on, but there's a Mog coming out. Not enough to take down this guy. Don is insane.
And it was just a solo, and you can tell everyone knows this man is having the game of his life. He's got 6 people watching him so far.
You probably see him in the feed every time, too.
Now, just standing still. Just standing still.
You shouldn't do that.
No, just die. You're going to die to a cluster nade now. And he's about to get 20 bomb. There it is.
Oh my goodness. Don is on fire. This is just the second game in round number 1 of this tournament. Does get a shot from behind. 30 HP, needs to heal up because one more shot and he might be taken down. So he's just going to use the cover from this tree, but they're going to be pushing on his position. Some more shots coming out. It looked like that one might have been from behind. Maybe not. It might be from above as well. Sees one in front of him. Takes some shots. Gets the down, but there might be a few more players looking at third party as well.
That's spray control, just beautiful. Beautiful tracking coming out from our man Don here. 21 kills. There's 4 more victims remaining in this lobby for him.
Yeah, and that's including the one guy he downed as well. So it might just be a full squad that was kind of split apart, but we will see what he can do in this situation. He knows that they are camping out there because no one pushed him when there were those shots going up between him and the other player. But he did take some damage there, trying to get a better angle again, but can't spot anyone out with the outlaw. Knows they are in these buildings somewhere. So eventually they're either going to have to come out because it's in the middle of the circle, or just going to be all camping in that one building that is kind of near the center of it.
Yeah, this is the last circle. This is just going to close into the center, and so it is going to just flush everyone out. But the thing is, a lot of these buildings, they can wait out their timing. We don't know if they've got an outlaw. Excuse me. We don't know if they have an outlander. They definitely have a sensor dart, and so they know where he is.
Now he's just waiting. Cluster grenade does come out. Trying to see where that was thrown from. See if anyone's peeking. Might have spotted someone for a second. Nobody baiting out anything right now. They're just taking their time. I believe this is just one full squad that is remaining in this lobby too. They do finally come out. He's putting some shots and missing every single one of them. Oh my goodness. Couldn't take them down, but someone else got the down as well. So it might not even be a one full squad. He does get another down again, and there might be a chance to clean up this victory as well.
It's a 1v1, but it's right on top of him right now. Does throw out the concussion nade and is going to rotate around. This is great movement coming out from Don. He does still have to heal up now. And the worrying part is that he doesn't have a Mog for this close quarter combat. He's got the SWAT though, and it can dish out a lot of damage. This man's just stuck in here with the cluster grenades.
No!
He will fall to it.
So close.
How unfortunate. But that was such a great game coming out from Don.
As you mentioned, not much he could have done there without that Mog too. They were just playing Ring Around the Rosie, using the corner of that house too. And they just you see in the spectating right here of what happened with the other player. He had perfect vantage point of where Don was that entire time. So you just had to put on the shots because the way the lighting looked to him, it was a lot harder for Don to get those connections. But either way, great work being put in by all 4 of these players, but Don, MVP for sure of that lobby.
Yeah, that's going to be a massive lead. Double digits easily between the 2 teams now. 22. You can tell the adrenaline's pumping. He had to take a quick breather there. 22 and
30
8. That's going to be
total.
30 kills. Wow.
And only 6 for SOLID4. So that's just insane to see between these two. They're going to be taking a little second to get a breather for that next game, but
I don't even remember what the lead was after the first round, but I don't think
it was only 2 kills. It was only 2 kills.
Yeah. Okay. So they have
it's like 28
kill lead.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, we'll have the math done at the end of the day, but they had 30 total for digbickplayers, and I think it's something like not even close to that. There was 8 and then 6 for the other team. So
I think just 12 total. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like 12 or 14 total. Oh my goodness. I don't think it's possible for the other team to come back at this point too, because of that 40 kills to like 14 for the other team, unless we see an unlucky drop by the digbickplayers, and like the team of SOLID4 just pops off in this next one.
Yeah, I think it's 38 to 12, so about a 32 kill lead.
Something like that. Man.
Yeah, that is nuts. I don't want to say it's insurmountable. I don't want to say it's impossible.
It's not impossible. It's just very difficult.
And the thing was, it was so unfortunate because we thought maybe it was, a full 4 squad versus Don at the end, but it was a 2v2v1.
Yeah.
And he didn't get any of the kills at the end there of the 4 people remaining.
I think he might have gotten 1 actually.
It was a knock, but I don't know if he actually
he had 21 going into that, and then eventually he got 1 more at the end there. Okay. So I think he got the one that he did down himself. But then because the last guy was just camping in that building the whole time.
Yeah. This is just really unfortunate, the guy had position, right? That building, it was directly in the center of the closing circle, and he was just able to camp it out.
Yeah, and that's what we see it happening a lot of these pub lobbies too. They're more likely to camp out instead of going for like crazy kills. And especially if they see someone in their lobby. I know me, if I see someone fragging out in the lobby, I'm like, okay, I got to worry about where this guy's coming from. He's probably in the open, so I need to know I got to ambush him if I want to take this guy down because of how good of a player he is.
And he almost did get ambushed. Before the circle even closed, we saw that there was a player coming in from that hill that he had just given up. Brought down really low, and honestly, I think having someone spot him out and give away his position made it that much more difficult for him to try and play it out the way that he wanted to. Also, just the lack of any real good perks. If he had a mobility running, could have been a completely different story there, especially up against that last guy, but he had no perks whatsoever. Mobility would have been great. Reinforced would have allowed him to play a lot more aggressively, and even a consumer, honestly, especially when you're in the last circle where it's closing, you could have tried to go for a heal off, right? If you have a consumer along with an outlander, he could have maybe tried to like just outweigh his opponent at the end.
Yeah, but, if he had like an outlander and a reinforced, both of them in play, didn't take as much damage from that cluster grenade too, and then the outlander, because he was in the zone so many times towards the latter half of that game, so it might have worked out better there, but didn't work out. Maybe next time he would need to loot a bit more, but that will be later on in the tournament, unless there's some crazy comeback that happens by SOLID4 in this next game.
And I don't really see that happening, because at this point, right, you get to completely change up your style. digbickplayers, they can play very passively. They could just wait for the late game and take very favorable battles, very conservative battles where they don't really have to take any risks, right? They could just play snipers. They can both try to find paladins, just play the long range at that point, while the onus at this point is on SOLID4. They have to go for every outrageous play. They have to go for every single down and every single kill.
Yeah, we're going to have to see a lot of great performances by both Cammy and Dids. We're going to hop on with them in the pregame lobby too, so we can see if they're going to keep going with that strategy that hasn't been working out, dropping, as you mentioned, by Array. splitting up a little bit to loot at the beginning, and then they got cornered by their opponents that they were facing in that engagement when they were in the attic. Couldn't really get out of it. Got so many downs. It was so close. It was a very good fight, but at the end of the day, 2v4, especially when the 4 players you're facing off know exactly where you are, know how to take you down, know you probably don't have many meds, because they probably only noticed 2 players there. They're like, oh, we got the numbers game. It's easy for us.
Yeah. Back in medieval times, castles, they were often built on the top of the hills for a reason, so you have a good vantage point. But the problem is that, like, the way the horizons and the world works and curves, right? You don't really get to see what's over the edge.
Exactly,
so they didn't see that people were coming in from the edge of the hills. And so the castle theory just really didn't work out for them here. And so we are seeing digbickplayers going for a bit more of an aggressive drop. They are going to be dropping over here on helicopters because, yeah, they're going to have to spot a gun. There we go. Dids finds one out, gets the first knock, and now Coffee's already gone down, and Dids is out. That is it. It's gonna be the digbickplayers just taking it on the onset.
That is very unfortunate for them. They went for that digbick play, and it did not work out for their team specifically. Instead, the vehicle was too much for them to take down. And that's all she wrote for their team. We'll just see what Don and Mark do for the remainder of this game. But that's what happens sometimes. If you go for those hot drops, sometimes it just does not work out. They had to go all in, and unfortunately the cards just didn't play out for them.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really real meta drop, honestly, because a lot of players do actually like to drop there, from what I've seen in the European servers. I mean, this is all anecdotal, by the way. I'm not trying to characterize, the entire European scene.
Just what you've seen, basically.
Yeah, a lot of players like to go for these helicopter drops because, they like to loot up and then rotate into the zone. And I think that's kind of what, like, they were trying to go for at that point, coming out from SOLID4, trying to predict that a team would get there, but they could beat them to the drop. And at this point, it's just going to be a victory lap coming out from digbickplayers. digbickplayers. Oh my gosh. Okay.
that's why they made that name, man. They were just doing that just to confuse people. But
I mean, honestly, living up to the name, really. That
100%.
That big B energy. Now they're going in, just having a time of their life.
They gotta heal up a little bit after that one too.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this vehicle that they added. It can fit 3 people, so if you have a full squad, you might have one poor sap that's kind of out of the way, but putting more shots on again against some opponents, just chasing them down, full confidence. They know that they can't escape, and they're just gonna put so many shots on, just racking up the kills, having the time of their lives. It's just a great experience all around.
This is actually so entertaining right now. I'm not gonna lie. People just running away from the death and carnage that's coming in the wake of Team digbickplayers.
Oh, crazy. Great to see that, though. They baited out all those players that were just camping around this area and instead took them down with the vehicle and then finished them off with the shotguns. And they knew they couldn't escape.
We have to remind people, though, that SOLID4 aren't out of it. They're just knocked down now to the lower bracket. This is double elimination, so we will see them hopefully later on, but they're just in the lower bracket. But yeah, right now, it's just digbickplayers riding high.
Yeah, especially after that 22 bomb that was dropped by Don in game number 2.
That's a
pretty
mad
much
lad.
Cemented their victory. And then the unfortunate circumstance we saw happen to SOLID4 where both members got taken down by the vehicle. They didn't need a gun, they just needed that vehicle with the mounted machine gun. That's all she wrote for their team. They went for the hot drop, as you mentioned, kind of the meta for this lobby, but instead just gonna be the other team, Don and Mark, racking up the kills, getting as many as they can before they go into the next one. I feel like they're just scaring whoever the next opponents they might be facing off against. That's either going to be Pony Slice Station and Gatekeepers, the number 3 or the number 6 seed.
Yeah, and so excited to see what the bracket ends up looking like. I'm actually gonna go ahead and pull that up myself right now. But yeah, they are at least the first team confirmed so far. We're waiting on the results of everybody else. But hey, if the rest of the games are like this, we are in for a really good day.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great broadcast as well. And this is just round number 1. So once the top teams get to once we get to round number 3, and then get to those lower finals and then the grand finals as well, there's gonna be some great plays being pulled off all around. But I'm sure we're gonna see some more unfortunate events happening for a lot of these teams too. That's just the way these battle royale games happen. You know, sometimes you get an unlucky drop, you don't get a gun, there's no good loot around you, you don't have enough armor to take out some enemies in an engagement. There's so many different things that can happen, but we did see, as you mentioned, digbickplayers coming out with the pretty much victory at this point, just waiting, as you mentioned, for the formality of this game.
Yeah, they're just having a lot of fun at this point. Continuing to push through the rest of the farmland over here in the middle of the map. Now they've slowed it down just a bit, but we'll see. Maybe they're conserving their energy, right? They got a lot of the early game excitement out. Now they're just trying to hone themselves on in at this point. But yeah, I can't wait to see more of these guys. Now we're seeing why. Like this kind of play style, we're seeing why, even though they played like half the matches, that they were able to qualify into the top 8 for this tournament, for this season.
And it wasn't that they got 8th; they got 7th by only playing half the matches. So it's even more insane. Like, could you? They might have been first if they played all of the matches too, which is crazy to see how this team is going to progress as this bracket goes through the rest of the day. We do see one update happen, 25-11 for Never Lucky versus Losers. That was the number 1 versus number 8. Expected in most brackets, obviously, for number 1 to win, but a lot closer than you might have thought between those two teams.
Yeah, that's surprising. Losers must have not had the best of drops because 11 kills through 3 games, not even averaging 4 kills per game at that point. Not quite the best. They might have just gone down early on in a lot of these lobbies. I didn't really even check to see if any of our players were in the same lobbies, honestly.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Yeah. At this time, I think the lobbies might slow down a little bit, so there's a very high likelihood for them to actually get into the same ones because we did start about the same time.
Very true. Yeah. I'm sure once all these teams finish off and then they get into the next round as well, we might see a circumstance of that happening, but hard to tell, especially with so many people playing this game. And after an update too, that's when more people just hop on as well, just to check out how things have changed. I'm sure a lot of people, as we mentioned, are happy about those concussion grenades getting nerfed just a little bit by the amount that you can carry in one stack.
Yeah, the impact of them is still incredibly strong, though.
Yeah, it still does a lot.
Done essentially, where all you can do is go prone and fire wildly. Yeah, it's still incredibly strong. I want to see another nerf to it, really, because I don't think changing how much you can carry changes the impact that it actually has on the game.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the bracket, they're already, choosing that digbickplayers won this one, even though the game's
49-16.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to be even higher after this too, but that's just how many they have currently. Just crazy. 16. I think they got like 1 or 2 at least for this third game for SOLID4, and they're going to be awaiting the, I believe, losers of Moose and Team STF, the 4 and 5 seeds. So that seems like that'd be a pretty solid matchup as well. But Never Lucky winning or facing off against the winner of that. I think we're going to switch over to that one after this, so we can see those teams and how they compare. And then we'll also see either Pony Slay Station or Gatekeepers facing digbickplayers in round number 2, where the loser would face off against Losers. And we might also do that one, which would only be 2 games instead of the 3 that's happening in the upper bracket. But we did see one of the players getting takeout, or all the players getting takeout. Finally, that game over. But great work by the digbickplayers getting that insane victory, 49-16. Maybe even higher, could have been like 50-something. But
it's too hard. Too many big numbers. Too many big numbers being posted up by our players here, being posted up by Don. Again, just MVP of this round in the match, digbickplayers versus SOLID4. And so you got to imagine, moving forward, that's going to strike a little bit fear once people start updating and actually looking at the bracket. 49 kills across 3 maps, and they could have been higher, right? It could have been higher.
It could have been way higher too. Insane. But we are going to take a quick break before we get into our next games, let the other ones finish up a little bit, come back, maybe talk a little bit about the tournament, see how the other teams are faring in the bracket as well, what kills they got, and how each of the seeds are shaping up to each other. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment. I have been Vaudable. Jamerson has been joining me so far, and we have some more great Blackout Arena matches underway in just a moment after we get back from the short break.